So Bob, I want to thank you for taking the time today. As you know, I've been in the industry on the provider side for about 28 years, and I've known you for a number of years, and I thought I'd like to take an opportunity to ask a few questions of you.
Okay.
And share your experience in the industry and where you think the healthcare industry is heading, and a lot more about your role with Capio Partners.
Okay.
So first of all, tell me a little bit about your history in the industry.
Well, I am completing my 27th year this month. I started as a collector 27 years ago here in Dallas, Texas. Moved to several different locations, including Jacksonville, Florida, Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, and for the last 23 years have been in the Tennessee area.
Wow. So what's your role in Capio?
Capio Partners, I'm the president. I'm in charge of sales, operations, and IT. Those are the departments that report up to me. We have a staff of about 140 people here in our Sherman office that report up to me that take care of all those functions.
Okay. So what made you decide to join Capio Partners?
Jim Richards, company chairman, current president of the ACA, is a heck of a salesman. I met Jim on I think I was about my third month on the job. He was a consultant that came in back in 1988, and the company ended up being bought by the company that Jim was a consultant for at that time. Back in late 2012, he called me and asked me to come to Marco Island, where he lives, to interview with him for this position. I tried to talk myself out of that trip because I was pretty happy where I was working and everything, and he convinced me to come down, and after spending a day with him and his lovely wife Allison, I didn't have much choice at that point. I was hooked, so I had to come to work for Capio.
Good to hear. So where do you personally think that you add value to Capio as well as their patients and providers?
I guess mainly in my experience. I've, like I said, been in the industry for 27 years. I started as a collector, have had varying degrees of responsibility up to, from a collector to a collection supervisor, to a manager of a branch, to a district manager where I was over multiple branches, to a regional vice president, and then my service as the senior vice president for healthcare services for NCO gave me a national perspective, clients across the country, offices across the country, that really helped make me what I am today, and hopefully I can take some of those things that I've learned from all those people over the years and impart that into the folks here at Capio, which they've taught me a lot too. It's always a learning experience.
Sure. So if you were talking to a provider today, how would you describe what Capio does?
Well, the first thing I would tell them is that Capio as an asset buyer is much more than that. We're not a company that simply buys the debt and then you have problems. We're still taking care of your patients. We, in many respects, are probably much easier on your patients than your early out agency. We understand that the patient is integral to the client's success, which is integral to our success. If we don't take care of those three pieces, the client, the patient, and our own business, we won't be in business.
So with the introduction of Obamacare in the last few years, there was a perception in the industry that self-pay was going to go away. Obviously a misperception. Where do you think the industry is, and why would you think self-pay is not necessarily going to go away?
Well, there's no way self-pay is going to go away. It's just going to keep increasing, and I think that's evident in what we've seen already in the early years of this. Obamacare, from my understanding, was supposed to be paid for by the millennials, the people that are just entering the workforce and getting insurance and stuff now. The issue that I see there, though, is the millennials don't want to pay for insurance at this point in their life. And I remember that, when I was in my 20s. I didn't want to pay for insurance. I was going to live forever. Who needed insurance? So, the penalties for those folks, $90 to $100 a year don't seem to be stringent enough to make them get into the process. So you got self-pay in that regards. Then the different plans through the exchanges. Everybody's going with a high deductible plan. The high deductible plans are, again, going to be self-pay, and they're going to be higher amounts that people aren't used to paying. They're used to a typical 80-20 split, so they got a $1,000 bill, they got to pay $200. Well, now that $1,000 bill, not even going to cover their deductible. So they're going to have to pay that full $1,000 out of pocket. So again, more self-pay.
Sure. So let me take a moment and read this statement to you and tell me if you think it's true or false. So the American Hospital Association reported in 2011 that uncompensated care was at $41 billion, and it continues to increase by 8%, and will possibly be at $72 billion in 2016. What do you think is driving that?
Well, a lot of things. Again, the millennials that aren't getting insurance coverage because if they're making $10 to $12 an hour somewhere, they can't afford to pay for the plans that are out there. The high deductibles, with the different exchange plans, again, are driving that up. And from my perspective, it's just going to keep increasing unless something else changes.
So I'll pause for a moment and ask you, you're a patient. How would you expect to be treated financially by a Capio employee?
Well, that's one of the things that we want to treat the patients like they were one of our customers, even though they're a customer of the hospital. Once we take the account, they are one of our customers. So we treat them with the respect that they deserve. One of the things that I try to impart on new employees is that if you ever get to the point where you feel you're better than the person you're talking to on the other end of the phone, you need to find a new job, because we have to be the same as the person on the other end of the phone.
It's a great philosophy. So how does Capio assist providers with their evaluation process?
Wow, we go through a very rigorous evaluation when we're looking at a file. We look at demographics. We find things that they may not see in their registration process, and we report those things back to them so they can improve their process as they go down the line. Giving that information to the client may seem detrimental to us, but it's and over time it may be detrimental in that client may improve processes so we don't get as many accounts. But in the long term, it's helping the client. That's going to be a good reference for us for a future client that's currently not using our services.
So it sounds like you're a change leader. So what footprint would you like to leave in the industry?
I don't know that there's a footprint I want to leave in the industry other than, I treated my employees, and I won't call them employees, I call them coworkers, the people that I work with respect. I met a lot of great people in the industry and treated them with respect, and learned a lot along the way and had a lot of fun while doing it.
It's good. Are you a collection executive, or would you call yourself something else?
In the industry, I guess I'm called a collection executive. To me, when I started in this industry a long time ago, when I started traveling in the industry, people would ask me what I would do, what I did for a job. And, I would tell them I was a bill collector, because that was my job at the time. I was helping people resolve their bills. So in a way, I guess I'm still a bill collector. But at heart, I'm a human being that cares about resolving people's problems. And that's what we work to do here.
That's good. I think what differentiates Capio in the industry is a lot where they're trying to assist the patient with the ability to pay and understand it, because it's a very complex environment, as you know.
Absolutely.
And it's only getting more and more complex.
Every day that goes by.
So what two expectations do you have of your employees?
Biggest expectation, I guess, is to treat everybody they deal with the same amount of respect and dignity that they would like to be treated with. Secondly, show up and do your job. Everybody has got to be here because it is a true team effort. You can't have individual successes. We do have collectors or patient specialists, account specialists that we call them, that maybe do a little bit better than the next person. But the bottom line is, if the team doesn't work, it doesn't work for any of us.
Great answer. How would you personally and professionally define success with your role in Capio?
Success to me is when the team succeeds, when everybody hits their goals, when we're making our clients happy by keeping their patients happy, when we're hitting the numbers that are expected from our investors. That to me is a successful month, year, week, whatever the case may be.
Sure. Last question. What helps you sleep at night working in the industry?
Thinking about the people that I work with. Thinking about the things that we did through the day, the patients that we interacted with, getting thank you cards from patients. It's one of the best things that I love seeing. We had a patient one time that sent several dozen donuts to the account specialist because of the way she was handled by that person. Recently, we had a patient that sent a gift card along with a thank you card to the account specialist she had dealt with. Those are the kind of things that make you have a smile on your face when you go to sleep at night.
I mean, that's amazing, because I've always joked in the industry, having been on the provider side, that no one thanked me for a bill.
They normally don't thank you for the bill, but if you take care of them with dignity and treat them as a human being, they will thank you for helping them get out of a problem.
That's great. Well, I do appreciate you taking the time.
Not a problem.
And I wish you well.
Thank you, sir.